are America. We are the greatest nation in the world. And we don't have to apologize for it either. I don't have to tell you about the problems this nation faces. So I'm going to spend my few minutes talking about how we solve this mess. We have become a nation of crises. We have an economic crisis. We have an entitlement spending crisis. We have an energy crisis. We have an immigration crisis. We have a foggy foreign policy crisis. And we have a moral crisis. But most of all, we have a severe deficiency of leadership crisis. The people of this great nation, they are tired of excuses. They want responsibility and leadership. The people of this great nation, they are tired of the blame game. They want results, and results we can get with the right person in the White House. Our economy is stuck. It's not growing. Our economy is stalled simply because this administration does not recognize that the engine of economic growth is the business sector. And once we get that engine going, this economy will begin to grow. We need to lower the top corporate tax rates and the personal rate to a maximum of 25%. We need to take the tax on repatriated profits to zero. We need to take the capital gains tax to zero and make all of them permanent. Permanent. Uncertainty is killing this economy. And as long as uncertainty is killing this economy, it is killing this nation. We have an entitlement spending problem, an entitlement spending crisis. We can no longer trim around the edges. We've got to restructure these programs such that this nation will go from being an entitlement society to an empowerment society. Let's empower people. Empower businesses. We have an energy crisis because of our dependency on foreign oil, and there's a way to solve it. You don't solve it by going to Brazil and other countries saying that America is going to be their best customer for oil. Let me tell you what the Cain doctrine is going to be. We will be our own best customer. We're going to drill, coal, gas, shale, all of our natural resources. America will be its own best customer. We have an immigration crisis. One of the reasons that has been little progress on the whole immigration issue is because one of the things that you learn as a business person and as a problem solver is make sure you're working on the right problem. And in this case, we don't have one problem. We've got 4 problems. This is how a Cain administration would attack this problem of illegal immigration and immigration. First, secure the border for real. Stop fooling around. Secondly, promote the path to citizenship that's already there. Let me tell you what the citizenship solution is for immigration. We have a path to citizenship. We don't need a new one. You know what it is? Legal immigration is the path to citizenship. Number 3, the third problem, enforce the laws that are already there. And number four, the federal government has not, cannot, and will not deal with the illegals that are here in this country. So I believe we should empower the states to do what the federal government is not doing and let them deal with the illegals that are here in this country. By the states, empower the states to deal with that problem in theirs. We got a foggy foreign policy. coming out of Washington, D.C. administration. I have been criticized because I have not had any direct foreign policy experience. And the guy we have there now has. Help me understand that. I may not have extensive foreign policy experience, but let me tell you what my approach to foreign policy will be. Number one, clearly identify who our friends are, clearly identify who our enemies are, and stop giving money to our enemies. Number two, before I commit any of our brave men and women in uniform to go into war on behalf of this nation, I will make sure that the mission is clear. I will make sure that the definition of victory is clear. And I will make sure that it is clear how it is in the best interest of the United States and that particular nation. Because if I send our men and women into war, they want to be in it to win it, and that's why it'll be clear why we are there. We have a moral crisis. There are people who want to take God out of our culture. The founding fathers understood the importance of godly biblical principles. There are some people who want to ignore the Declaration and the Constitution. But I happen to believe that the founding fathers, they got it right. They got it right when they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator. And I will never leave that phrase out of the Declaration of Independence. Endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life from conception, liberties based upon the Constitution, and the pursuit of happiness based upon each citizen's own aspiration, motivation, and determination. There is no Department of Happy in Washington, D.C. My parents achieved their American dreams. They did it the old-fashioned way. They worked for it. I know that's a novel idea, but they worked for it. They achieved their dreams the old-fashioned way. One of the reasons that I am running for President of the United States is because I have achieved my American dreams and then some. 12 years ago, my first grandchild was born. When I looked into that little face for the very first time, the thought that went through my mind wasn't, what do I have to do to make sure she gets a good education? Or what do I have to do to make sure that she gets a good start in life, which she will? But the first thought that went through my mind was, what do I do to make this a better nation and a better world? That was 12 years ago. And when I saw President Obama take office and watched the weakening of America, I knew that that voice that I heard 12 years ago meant that I had to use my talents, skills, and abilities to do something about this nation and get it off of the wrong track and put it back on the right track, because the American people, we the people, this giant has awakened and is not going back to sleep. The people of this great nation are sending a message to Washington, D.C. And that message that they're sending to Washington, D.C. is that they are ready to embrace a problem solver and not another politician. They are sending a message to Washington, D.C. that this precious thing we call liberty, we're not going to let it go. Just like the founding fathers did their job, and they were inspired by what I call the spirit of America. It's that same spirit that has this nation, its citizens, willing and ready to take back its government. And no one expressed the challenges we face better than the Gipper himself when he reminded us that freedom, never more than one generation away from extinction. You can't pass it on in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our grandchildren what the United States of America used to be like when men were free. I'm not going to have that conversation with my grandkids, and I don't think you want to have that conversation with your grandkids. The people of this country have spoken loud and clear. On all of our currency, it says, "In God we trust." I do. But in the fourth verse of the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem, there's another phrase there. In God is our trust. The founding fathers, they did their job. We have to be the defending fathers and put united back in the United States of America, the greatest nation in the world.